Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 1st of October. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which has celebrated the new month with a push to new record highs. We're already looking for that after the last RSI 50 rebound that we had. In fact, we had two. The first one was around the 9200 level, and that was around the 16th of September. So after a bit of jiggery pokery, we managed to bounce above the rising 50-day line. That's around 9200 now, and head higher. So basically, the market's done what we wanted it to do. It took a little bit longer. The old high, 93.57, so we'd like to see an end of day close above that to give us up to 95.40, the top of that rising trend channel from June, as an end of October target. Obviously, we've got the US shutdown and other nasties in the mix, but at the moment, the FTSE seems to be enjoying itself and focusing on domestic issues, which are obviously so wonderful at the moment. Moving on to the DAX, and it's still in that range between the floor of the channel from April and the 50-day lines. Really just want to see this market break the 50-day line, the blue line there. 23,900, that would have then opened the door for a move up towards the top of the channel. 25,800, I suppose that would be by the end of November rather than the end of October now, given how slow this market is. In terms of the downside, the floor of the channel there, 23,400, so not expecting anything lower than that. Worst case, there's a rug pull down to the 200-day line, 22,900. The positive here is that we've got the RSI back above neutral 50, although it is really the 50-day line which is the most important here. Moving on to the Dow, which has slightly became slightly upset with the futures have after midnight. I think there's a half a percent fall on the futures. Obviously, this is yesterday's close, yesterday evening. But whatever the case is at the moment, we're looking for support to come in at or above the 50-day moving average, 45,200, and still looking for a move up to the top of that rising trend channel from May last year, as high as 47,800 by the end of this month. But obviously, US shutdown will or could delay that. Moving on to the cryptos, and the first one is Bitcoin as usual. And here we've got a situation that we're trading either side of the 50-day moving average. In fact, we're actually above the 50-day line now at 113. Above that, the main resistance up to 118, and hopefully we can break through that over maybe the first week of October. Best case scenario for this month is up to 132 at the top of that rising trend channel from the end of February by the end of this month. Worst case is that we fall below the floor of the channel, 109, and have to test the 200-day moving average at 104 for the first time since April, though I have to say that does seem slightly or rather unlikely now, given that we've had most of the price action well above the 200-day moving average. A nice RSI 50 plus rebound there, so that is a leading indicator on the upside, and hopefully that will take this market higher and is the reason for the possibility of a move up to 132 being on the cards. Onto Ethereum, which has disappointed given that it was supposed to be the new Bitcoin. Here we're in consolidation mode between the floor of the channel there around 38.90 and the 50-day line 43.90. And at the moment, really want to see this market stay on the right side of 4,000 and get up to that 50-day line over the next few days. RSI still well below the neutral 50 level, so at the moment, still in the danger zone for having to make another test of support below 4,000. On to gold, which hasn't put a foot wrong in recent weeks, and you can see that fears of a US shutdown took the metal up to the top of our channel, towards the top of our channel there, 38.70. In fact, we actually hit the top of the channel right on the nose, which is rather nice. So really looking for that as a potential retest zone. And in terms of what might happen next, we've actually got a situation where we could head up to that line there, which is heading up towards the 4,200 area, maybe by the end of next month. So 41.70, 41.80 now possibly on the cards there for gold, if we can get a decent clearance of the 38.70 area. In terms of the downside, recent support around 3,700. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 3,800 ahead of a move towards 4,200. Moving on to the stocks, and quite pleased with my homework in terms of Avacta, which I know is a very highly followed stock. think I was talking about it when the shares were 55 pence yesterday. This time yesterday, was looking for an end of day close through 56 pence, which obviously we got. And today we've gapped higher, which adds to the magic of the technicals there. The reason that I included back to yesterday is because I noticed that there was a rebound above a rising 50-day line, which tends to be a leading indicator on the upside, and it has been so far today. Looking for up to 75 pence by the end of this month, obviously hoping for that rather quicker than that, while we're above the latest gap there at 60 pence on an end of day close basis. We also had a double bounce, or have had a double bounce off that RSI uptrend line, so that added to the idea of a potential bullish setup there with the move above the 50-day moving average. On to Cadence, which after raising a bit of money and a bit of dust settling is back up again. Interesting that we gapped down yesterday. We need an end of day close back above a previous target there around 3.9 pence to give us a retest of a move up to 6 pence, hopefully by the end of this month. But the key here is getting that end of day close just above that, above current levels. RSI stays above the neutral 50 level, which is a good thing when you have sharp retracement, as it suggests that the price action is still very positive. Moving on to GCM, which I gushed about a few months ago, and the only thing which went wrong here was that little dip below the 5 pence zone, which we had back in August. Current situation is the longer we spend above 7.5 pence, the better this chart looks. Minimum on the upside up to 10.25, which is a resistance line projection from back in 2022. In fact, one could slightly nudge that, a little bit higher up towards the 11 pence area, and looking for that by the end of this month while we're above 7.5 pence. The other thing to note is the way that we've had multiple bounces at and above the neutral 50 level in the RSI window, which is a leading indicator on the upside, as is the way that, a bit like a Vactor, we've had multiple support points above a rising 50-day moving average. So GCM looking particularly strong at the moment. Stock I don't normally look at because it's normally rather boring, but here we've got a situation where we're having a double bounce of the RSI around the neutral 50 level and also a bounce off a now rising 50-day moving average. That hints that we might have enough strength here to fill the gap up towards the June gap there, up towards 270 pence. Maybe by the end of this month. It's a punchy call, but while we're above the 50-day line, that is a possibility, especially given the RSI bounces, which can indicate forthcoming momentum. Insige, I had a decent announcement today with a digital assets advisor. Here we've gapped up, and also we've had a bounce off the RSI 50 zone. 50 and 200-day lines both rising, so that suggests that we are going into a bullish phase, the run up to a golden cross. We already had a rug pull earlier, basically last month, for the shares below 20 pence, and there's been a cork and water rebound after that. The view at the moment is that above recent resistance at 27 pence on an end of day close basis, looking for the shares to hit the top of that rising trend channel at 45 pence by the end of next month. But the key here, staying above that 50-day line area and the 200-day line area at 22 pence. Next up is Immu Pharma, which is a company I interviewed last month. The shares actually went up to 18 pence. After that, had a rebound yesterday off RSI 50, which was great. So it was always going to include this stock today. And we're now above one of the previous targets there, 11.5 pence above that, looking for a retest of 18 pence. Best case here by the end of next month is that we're up to 30, although it's difficult at this stage to work out exactly what might do that. But at least 18 pence on the cards while we're above 11 for Immu Pharma. Great update from Northern Bear today. And here we've got shares gapping through resistance, which is normally a good sign. You can see that previously the shares hit all the targets. The shares up, I think, 80% or so far this year. Current situation is that we're in a rising trend channel, which I'm just drawing at the moment. And the top of that channel heading towards new highs, and they would be up towards the £1.20 level while we're above the 50-day moving average around 96 pence. RSI 50 rebound found an RSI 50 plus rebound, so hopefully some momentum here for a move towards 120 by the end of this month. Moving along to Pulsar, which blew the lights out in terms of discovering helium. And here you can see that we actually had a bear trap item reversal, in fact, a double one, in the sense that we gapped up before the placing, I think last month, and then gapped up again, obviously, today. Current view is that we're a little bit in a sort of no man's land in the sort of the middle of the range, but at least while we're above the old resistance area, 28 pence, on an end of day close basis, looking for the top of that rising trend channel up to 36 pence by the end of this month, widening the channel there as well. But hopefully 28 pence will come in as a support as people take their well earned profits on that one. Tertiary Minerals, a stock which has been a difficult baby over the last, or difficult child rather, over the last few years, in fact. But we have hit the initial target there. It already looked as though there was a turnaround, but the gap higher in September. Initial target there 0.065. Above that, we're looking up towards 0.09 as best case scenario target. Fundraisers, etc., permitting. Obviously, the company normally a bit short of cash. On to TAP Global, which looks as though it may finally, without wanting to curse it too much, might finally deliver some proper upside for the stock. Here we had initial target there at 3.6 pence. If we actually get above that, because we've fallen back a bit today from the best levels, the next level up would be 5.5 pence, maybe by the end of next month, giving it plenty of time. But the key here, I think, is closing above recent resistance at 2.9 pence. It would be rather disappointing if the shares fell back after that. Two RSI 50 rebounds, which is good, but we still have the problem of what seems to be a persistent seller in the basically either side of three pence, which hopefully is going to be a thing of the past. On to the last two. The first one is Euro Metals, and here I didn't include the shares yesterday. I was thinking about it, but didn't include it. But here looks as though we've got a proper turnaround with the bounce, or the bullish divergence there in the RSI window above recent broken resistance at 5.5 pence, looking for up to 10 pence to retest that March spike for the shares by the end of this month. Was initially disappointed to see UK oil and gas back, but obviously it's doing rather well today. And in fact, the targets I prepared earlier on, the first one 0.028, second one 0.033, both hit already, which leaves us looking for the main resistance area here at 0.05, while we're on the right side of 0.03. In fact, the shares going up a stonking RNS today. Well, it's good to see the company finally delivering the goods for shareholders. Again, I presume that might be a little fundraise in the mix there as well. But at least for the time being, got the day in the sun for UCOG and a massively successful return for the shares above 0.05. Obviously, shares could go all the way. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.